It's crazy.
Yeah.
It is literally crazy that we're a week and a day since the Cowboys lost and the season was over, lost to Washington, the season was over, and we're still in limbo.
We're not in limbo as of 90 seconds ago.
Oh, deal done?
Stop.
Take a guess. Which way did it go? Is Mike McCarthy back or is Mike McCarthy out?
He's out.
He's out.
Joe?
He's out. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, he was out.
Sources, Mike McCarthy is out as Cowboys coach. The sides couldn't agree on length of contract, and McCarthy will pursue other opportunities. He leaves Dallas with a winning record and 3 playoff appearances.
Emergency pod. Let's
Tom
roll.
Pelissero.
Emergency pod.
Emergency pod.
Emergency pod.
Oh, this is perfect. We're already on. We don't have to scramble. We can just go. We can just go.
Hey,
Wow.
We got to change seats. We got to just emergency pod. Emergency pod. It's emergency pod.
He was always going to be out.
The die has
The
been
die was
cast.
cast.
The
Yeah,
die has been
The die was
cast.
cast. It was
CKG just found out.
He was always going to be out. There was no way. There was no way after 12-5, 12-5, and 12-5 you could bring him back up to 7-10. And the longer it waited,
He's still not out. I'll tell you that.
He's still not out.
Well, I think this is a Jeff theory. Just a Jeff theory I'm working on right now on the spot.
Okay.
he was always going to be out.
Like he's out because they couldn't agree to terms until he can't get another job. And then he's like, hey,
come
Jerry.
back.
And Jerry's like, oh, you like them terms now?
But here's the thing, and I've long thought, and I told you guys before, I thought he was out. Right? I thought he wasn't going to come back for the reasons that I gave before. But just on the terms of because there is, I don't think Mike McCarthy is just some gutless, prideless, you know what I mean? Like I'm not just some slush that you can just push around, right? And I know that there's a sense of I want to make money and I want to be in coaching and so on and so forth. But he's made good money, right? Like Mike McCarthy's not some broke boy, you know what I'm saying? Right. And coaching, I think in the last couple of years, being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, having the 12-5 records, having some good offenses, having your quarterback go second in the MVP running, that has brought your name back to relevancy. That more teams are at least saying, if not a head coach, will you either be our offensive coordinator or will you come in and be some sort of coaching consultant? I do think that, and let's be honest, while we all have the hot shot names that we like, the Slowigs, the Cohens of the world, and the Ben Johnsons of the worlds, like there aren't that many head coaching candidates.
No, we talked about that on Friday with Super Bowl or how many coaches have won Super Bowls? Mike McCarthy, John Gruden, Pete Carroll. Those are your 3 options in terms of guys you could potentially
get. When you start looking around, and I think just when you come to him and just say, hey, I'm going to give you 2 years and incentives, I don't even think there's ever been a head coach in NFL history that's been like, yeah, your coach will be incentive based. You have to win this amount of games. That's not a thing. So for you to accept that, not only does that hinder you, but it also hinders other coaches. We talk about that during players' contracts, right? It's like, hey, this quarterback can't take this deal because if you take this deal, you mess it up for the guys behind you. Yeah. So the NFLPA is like, hey, you can't do that. And same thing for coaches. If Mike takes a 2-year deal and it's heavy incentive based on whether he make the playoffs or how far he goes in the playoffs, other NFL coaches in the coaching tree is like, dude, what are you doing?
100%.
Don't mess up the integrity of what we got going on. Like, we don't play the game, but don't mess it up for the rest of us.
And the bottom line is that as this week kept going on, and we're 24 hours away from him hitting coaching for agency, he wasn't just going to take any deal. I mean, yes, the Cowboys moving on because Mike McCarthy probably didn't accept what they were offering him. I mean, this was a negotiation at this point, and he's just not going to accept any deal that they gave him.
Also, too, when you have 2 guys with 2 sides that think they have leverage, what are you going to get is 2 stubborn people that are not willing to give, and it's not going to work out at the end. I think that's kind of what we had here. Why would Mike McCarthy want to take a 2 to 3 year deal with incentives, as Jesse pointed out? Why would the Cowboys want to give him more than that? You're going to have it's just a difference of agreement, which has ultimately led to him being out. And now the Cowboys, who have apparently been doing behind-the-scenes work, we'll see if that's true.
Rant.
No, I don't have a rant ready. No, I don't have a rant.
Breaking news rant?
I don't have a rant ready. Well, I never have one ready anyway. I just start going and see what happens. No, but it is kind of weird. I mean, if all of these things are accurate, that they couldn't agree on length of contract, and so he's going to go somewhere else. So you wanted him to be your coach, but
you didn't want to commit to him.
You didn't want to actually commit to him, so you didn't want him to be your coach. So why were you ever talking to him? Yeah. You either wanted him to be your coach or you didn't. Right. It can't be. We think you're okay, maybe more than okay. So if you'll agree to this, we'll keep you. But if not, then we'll go see what's out there. Okay, did you like him better or what's out there?
Yeah,
because this shouldn't exist. This is the most half-assed crap ever. Yeah. Where it's like, first of all, Jerry is don't use insults.
Cheap.
Well, yeah, he's cheap, but I was gonna say coward, and that's that's an attack, and I don't want to attack. But Jerry has a real problem with maybe he has too much empathy.
Right.
He doesn't want to fire people. The fact that this is coming out with hours to go before a deadline where Mike is free agency is actually progress for Jerry. With Garrett, he let him go all the way, and I think it was multiple weeks into the offseason where Garrett was going to the office, and everyone in the world knew he wasn't coming back, but Jerry let it run out so he didn't have to say he was firing him. And technically, he won't have to say he was firing Mike either. It's just that he's out. His contract's going to run out.
Right. But that's something we talked about last week. What does a deal look like? It's always been going to be how long do you commit to him?
He's not 4 years.
Right. He's not going to take a 1 year deal. He's not going to take a 2 year deal. And if you can't commit to 3 or more, then he's out anyway.
And you were settling the whole time. If it was, yes, we would like you if you will do this, then you never liked him that much. Right. What are you doing?
No, and when he set up the landscape with the incentive-laden stuff, you're already saying you're out. You're putting barriers up that he's not going to accept.
Right.
Okay, you were putting because there's no such thing as an incentive-laden deal. We'll pay you this much in the regular season,
not for coaches,
much in the postseason.
Not for coaches.
I mean, you can get a bonus for winning the
Super
Bowl.
Yeah, that's about a bonus, but he wasn't really talking about a bonus. He was talking about incentive-laden.
He was talking about really cheap stuff.
Yeah. Right, right.
Yeah. He was doing
those are not realistic things, and so you were already setting it up so you could have an out.
Yeah, but here's
and the out is here.
Sorry, but that's the frustrating part about all this is we're talking about, hey, let's see what the negotiation says. They're never going to get to an agreement. This is the reason why coaches rarely ever see the last year of their deal, because why would it take this long to figure this out? Why would you take a whole year to be like, yeah, maybe 7 to 10, maybe that's the reason we can get him cheaper? Why are you deciding now? Thank you, KG. Why does it take this long? I was thinking about this morning. Remember we were talking about Dalvin Cook, for example, this offseason. Hey, let's give him a shot and see what he has in the regular season. Why didn't you find this out in training camp when you had the opportunity? You're not advantageous, and now it's going to bite you in the butt, and you're behind a coaching search.
Yeah, and it's just they're poorly run because the guy in charge probably should have never been in charge, but definitely shouldn't be in charge while he's 82 years old. It's all kind of goofy.
But this is baseline stuff.
Oh no, yeah, they fail at basics.
The bottom line stuff.
Yeah. That's because they're driven by an egomaniacal billionaire. I mean, and most teams are, but most teams don't insist. I bought this to be he says it out loud.
I know.
I do this because I bought it. This is mine. So I'm going to do it however I want. I bought it, and he's not wrong. He bought it.
And clearly we got a whole show, and I don't know what we planned, but
we're going to keep talking about this.
We're going to keep talking about this.
Nope, we're done. We're moving on to our next segment.
But
we're not wasting time.
But at the end of the day, is this the right move? And that's where we need.
That's a great question.
We can belabor how they did it. Is this the way to get the Cowboys going forward? At the end of the day,
and the answer to that question is
to be continued.
Is complicated because
it is complicated.
Is it
because who do you hire?
Correct.
The next hire will tell you whether this move was the right move or not.
Let's go through a list after the break, maybe.
Yeah. We'll go through names, but I think you just have to acknowledge that the Cowboys are different. So, is this the right move? Will be determined by. I think this is absolutely the wrong move if their coaching search looks the exact same as it did when Garrett was gone. They interviewed somebody for the Rooney Rule that was never going to have a chance, and then they hired Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
So if their next process is we'll see a name of a guy who looks more like you than me, hadn't been in the league for a couple of years, and then they interview one guy.
Byron Leftwich is headed to Dallas for an interview.
Here he comes. Pep Hamilton stopping by.
Marvin Lewis has been here.
Marvin Lewis, how they get this done, right?
But if you Rooney Rule it and then just hire a guy that you're comfortable with, then no, this isn't good for the Cowboys. But if you do what most teams are doing, which is most teams have either interviewed or are planning to interview. I pulled up the list of every single team. 15-ish people.
Yeah.
They're literally going to hear the ideas of everybody that people think might make a good head coach and then hire the one that they think will be the best head coach. If the Cowboys do it that way, then yeah, you're probably making a good decision. If the Cowboys do it the Cowboy way, which is which guy is fun to drink scotch with for 6 hours and that I think I can get along with, and he won't mind the fact that I do whatever I want, and so I'll hire that guy, then no, you're just doing the exact same crap you've been doing forever, and that don't win. So, I don't know.
Let me say this quickly before we go to break. And the hire means whoever you bring in, you're giving a 4-year deal to, and they're not taking an incentive-laden contract, and you're going to have to pay them more than you paid Mike McCarthy.
100%.
Right? So it's like,
Not true.
He'll
find the candidate that will accept those terms.
Then we'll get
God,
our
that's
answer
ominous.
as well.
And then you failed.
Our answer
Yeah.
will be, we'll be here in another 4 years doing the same
Right.
thing that we were doing because they were being cheap and they were being whatever it was.
You're also tying him to Dak Prescott.
Yes.
And that's probably why he wanted Mike to have a 1 or 2 year deal where it's like, we could get out of the Dak thing after 2, so you can be with Dak. And Mike's like, I'm an adult. Like, you're going to offer me an adult contract. And Jerry was like, no. And Steven poked his head in and said, at the end of the day.
We all silly like the mayor.